Yo, how's it going? Top 15 new horror games. Let's go ahead and start.
For those gamers out for a scare, there is a lot coming this year. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on GameRanx, the top 15 new horror games of 2022. Starting off with number 15. It's Madison, a first-person psychological horror game, a game where you start off in a dark room with your hands covered in blood. You find out that a demon's forcing you to partake in a ritual that's been going on for a very long time. This is a game with an actually pretty unique look and unique take on things. You use an instant camera to see what's going on in the spirit world on top of where you exist in the human world. Madison was actually supposed to come out back in January, but it got delayed. We don't have a release date, but it is coming to the PlayStations, the Xboxes, and Windows this year. And number 14 is Stray Souls, a game where a gentleman by the name of Daniel inherits a home from his grandmother. It is, of course, a scary house, a haunted house, and over the course of the game you solve puzzles in order to get closer to finding out exactly what the deal with this house is. You meet a girl who knows way more about the house than you do. You see a screaming lady in the window. There's a story with branching dialogue where you can get obviously different outcomes. There's random events. But what I think is probably most interesting about it is that there is combat in this game. This game looks like a lot of games where there isn't combat, and the combat is oriented around found objects, like stuff that you find in the house. That
was like the first perception I got from it, like, oh, it's gonna be a puzzle game. If it has combat, then
marketing materials say anything from a gun to a baseball hat, which means there's probably going to be a lot of different experiences. This sounds interesting to me. There is also a demo out now if you want to check that out. We don't have a release date for Stray Souls, but it is coming soon.
Yeah, but my PlayStation.
And number 13 is Choo Choo Charles, which is frankly a bizarre looking game. Interesting though. So this is a game where
yes, I felt like it was gonna be like some Thomas the Engine type horror game.
You travel around an island on a regular train while the island is being terrorized by a monster train which has spider legs. That is the best description I can give you of what I have seen of this game, and for whatever reason that is incredibly intriguing to me. The monster train is the stuff of nightmares. You go around essentially collecting scraps to upgrade the train to be able to fight Choo Choo Charles, and that to me seems to be the long and short of it. Now the island is really atmospheric. It's actually pretty unique looking. A lot of different locations, but obviously the main attraction is the title monster, and I don't know, it actually looks like it's going to be a pretty darn good game. If it's not, it's a game that did an incredible job getting me interested in it. The developer
It looks like Thomas the Engine took some bath salts and now is like having a bad trip.
of Choo Choo Charles said it's probably eventually coming to consoles, but will definitely be coming to PC sometime in 2022.
Oh my god.
And number 12 is Evil Nun: The Broken Mask, which is a remake of the mobile game Evil Nun: Horror in the School. You play as a child invited to a religious summer camp, and there is a scary nun who might hit you with a hammer. I mean, that sounds like a very silly concept, but it's actually fairly scary looking, especially if you have like fear of nuns. I'm sure there's plenty of people out there like that. The mobile game is actually very well received, and the PC version will obviously have much better graphics, and the nun will apparently have much better AI. Evil Nun doesn't have an exact date, but it is planned for release in Q4 of 2021.
Kind of gives me those I can't remember, but it was like a Freddy, Five Nights at Freddy type game with like the animatronics where you have to try and it's more like 3D or ish. It's not like you're just chilling in the house.
At number 11 is The Quarry, a sort of old-school horror movie-inspired slasher horror adventure, which is being labeled as a spiritual successor to Until Dawn. Now, as you know, Supermassive Games are the original developers of Until Dawn, so they could very well make a sequel, but I think it's good that they're not. The Dark Pictures anthology has done a great job of setting a lot of different games set in a single universe, and continued the tradition of Until Dawn, as well as giving an overarching world. Now, The Quarry is a different beast. It's also got a really big cast. Everyone who loves the slasher genre at least knows who David Arquette is, if not, enjoys his work. I personally find him both very good in that kind of movie, as well
Honestly,
as
I haven't
maintaining his sense of humor. There's a slew of other big actors and slasher name actors like Lin Shaye from Nightmare on Elm Street and Insidious, Ted Raimi from Evil Dead and The Grudge. Honestly, I'm really excited to see how this game plays out, because I really loved Until Dawn. I think it's a very good game, and I'm excited to see a more standalone title from the same developer along those same lines. The Quarry is coming to the PlayStations, the Xbox Ones, and PC on June 10th.
And number 10 is Martha is Dead. Now, this one's already out. It is set in the World War II era. You play as a woman named Juliana, and you're attempting to unravel the mystery of why a woman named Martha, who apparently is your identical twin sister, showed up dead. And during the course of what is frankly a beautiful game set in Tuscany, it tells a unique story about mental health that not only delves into the topic but uses it for mechanics. There's a lot of attention to detail, and it really does a great job creating atmosphere. Martha is Dead is already out on PC. And number 9 is Phobia St. Dinfa Hotel. Not a particularly normal sounding name. Set in a hotel operated by a sect that preaches a combination of science and religion. There's apparently an apocalypse to survive as you're shifting between different views of the hotel, presumably different time periods. There's a lot of exploration and puzzle solving as well as survival. It just looks like a unique game. I'm not even 100% sure what to make of it, which is something that certainly makes me intrigued. There is a demo available if you're looking to check it out. The release date has not been published yet, but it is coming sometime this year to the PlayStations, to the Xboxes, and the PC. At number 8 is Scorn. We've talked about Scorn for a long time. It's also seen a few different development stages. This is a game that takes place in sort of a living environment, a techno body horror type place where everything's alive, including even your gun. I've likened it to looking like a Tool album cover from the mid-90s, and I still stand by that, although the aesthetic has changed a little bit to a more wet looking, for lack of a better explanation. It is a game that I've been excited about for quite a while. One of those ones where you hope it's really good because they've talked about it for a long time, and it's always been intriguing. Cool, I have my hopes. Scorn is landing on the Xbox Series as well as PC in October. At number 7 is Evil Dead the game, an asymmetrical multiplayer game, not unlike the Friday the 13th game or Dead by Daylight. It's that, but with Evil Dead. So you have a bunch of different weapons that you would never have in those games, including Ash's chainsaw, and some, frankly, more bizarre potential, because Evil Dead is more willing to lean into the silly aspects of horror. It is multiplayer, but you'll also be able to play it single player if you want. Evil Dead the game is launching for the PlayStations, the Xbox Series, Switch, and PC Friday the 13th in May.
I love the Ash versus the Evil Dead show. That was hilarious. Man, like I wish they continued that, but hey, at least we get a game.
And number 6 is Slitterhead, a game from the creator of Silent Hill, who started a new studio called Boca Game Studio. This is, of course, the debut project. This actually looks like a pretty big departure from Silent Hill. It leans a little bit further into the grotesque, with monsters that shape-shift and just totally dismember anything in its way. And it seems like you're going to be playing as like a sort of ninja guy who takes a dismemberment back at them. The music is being brought to us by the exact same person who did the original Silent Hill. And frankly, the trailer was really well done, interesting, and I want to know what the heck he's doing. It seems like he's got kind of a all is not as it seems thing going, except for you immediately know. So I think that's going to be fun. Slitterhead is supposedly coming to PS5, the Xbox Series, and PC, possibly Q4. If not, we'll probably be seeing it next year. We will, of course, keep you updated on this very interesting looking project. At number 5 is Sons of the Forest, the follow-up to The Forest, which was a game in which you were looking for your son, who after an airplane accident had been abducted by some weirdos in the forest. This is similar, except you're not looking for your son. You were part of a paramilitary unit that seems to be going after these weirdos in the forest. It does begin with a similar problem. You do have a plane crash but it seems like you might be armed this time around. That may be to your advantage or may not. We'll find out. I'm excited for Sons of the Forest. I really enjoyed the first Forest. And the sort of change in perspective is, in my opinion, a good shift. I like the idea of having a non-powerless person to survive as in this. And I also like the implication of the kind of challenge that you'll be getting due to that, which will probably be ramped up. Sons of the Forest is coming on May 20th, and it will be landing on Microsoft Windows.
What the hell is going on?
At
in
number
that game?
4 is Ghostwire Tokyo. Ghostwire
Oh,
Tokyo is
yeah.
a game in which most of Tokyo's population disappears, and essentially there's mystical problems going on. There's ghosts, urban legends are coming true, stuff like that. You're investigating it, and you've got a bunch of special powers to do so, and this game is out and a lot of fun. It's extremely polished, has a great story, incredible graphics, an art style that takes advantage of
graphics look
tons of
amazing.
new techniques, looks very unique, and it really just manages to be something different. In a good way, not a bad way. It's out on pretty much every major platform. If you're looking for something new and different, but familiar and good, with a great story and great magic combat, Ghostwire Tokyo is where to look.
Okay. I didn't
And
seem
number 3 is
interested
The
in that.
Outlast Trials, a game set during Cold War era in the same universe as the 2 previous Outlast games. This is not the third in the series, it's a prequel. There is still an Outlast 3 coming. And this looks to be centering on sort of experiments, which might fill in some blanks from the first 2 Outlast games. Of
Oh
course, we
my
can expect
God.
pretty similar mechanics, but the environment and context in terms of the story and events are completely different. I'm excited for that, and we'll definitely be playing The Outlast Trials when it lands sometime this year.
Yeah, I've always wanted to play an Outlast series game. Like, I always wanted to. I never have had a chance to play one.
At number 2 is the Callisto Protocol, a survival horror game, weirdly enough set in the PUBG Battlegrounds universe. This game comes to us via a studio headed by the co-creator of the Dead Space series, and takes place at a prison colony on Jupiter's moon Callisto. You're a prisoner, and an alien invasion is happening. Now, that coming from one of the co-creators
Oh my God, that looks amazing! Holy shit!
Dead
that
Space
looks
sounds
amazing.
pretty good to me. It's landing on the Xbox Series, PlayStation 5, and PC sometime this year.
It looks like something out of Love, Death, Robots. Like, really does.
And finally, at number 1, speak of the devil, it is the Dead Space remake, which is taking the classic horror game in space and completely revamping it technologically. Apparently, the map's not going to change, but we're not going to be dealing with any loading. It's going to be one smooth experience, beginning to end. And there's also going to be additional encounters, as well as vastly improved graphics and a physics system that builds on what is frankly one of the better physics systems in terms of horror games combat, at least the most enjoyable that I can think of. I'm
Okay.
really excited for the Dead Space remake. I will
Never
certainly be
played.
playing it. They have not set a date for it, but it will be landing sometime this year. A few bonus games for you. The first is Dying Light 2 Stay Human, which is an improvement on pretty much every aspect of the original Dying Light, particularly the parkour. Really a good game. That's out on the Xboxes, the PlayStations, Nintendo Switch, and Windows if you want to play it. We wanted to
Okay.
mention Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl because obviously we like talking about Stalker, but that one's probably delayed to 2023, unfortunately. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre game is
What?
another asymmetrical horror experience, probably a good universe to do one of those in. Next is the Dark Pictures anthology, The Devil in Me, the final installment of the Dark Pictures anthology's first
Never
season.
heard of that
This
either.
one is set inside a murder castle where a documentary film crew gets trapped and has to figure out what's going on. Our next game is Wronged Us, a narrative experience set in a small town with psychological horror elements. We don't have a release date for that specifically, but we'll probably see it either late this year
Jesus,
or
okay.
next year.
That
And
game looks
finally,
fun.
Ill, which is a game that looks to make a realistic first-person horror shooter with real-time body deformation. It looks very interesting in terms of graphics. It uses Unreal 5. It's really impressive when you look at the footage. That is supposedly coming this year, but maybe next year based
Ooh.
on the timetable they've been going on. We'll see, though. Obviously, we'll keep you updated. That's all for today. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you
Nice.
think. If you
Thanks, gameranx. I am looking forward for some of these games. Most definitely. Slitterhead is definitely the game I really want to play. I need me a PS5. Like, that game looks fun, and it's from the Silent Hill guys. So hopefully I get to put my hands on it soon.